Well, hello everybody. Lots of messages. People just hammering on me, and I've been very busy tonight. People going through, Dave, Trump's going to make an announcement tomorrow. Tariffs. There's going to be a big change. They've made a deal. Folks, this is drug war tariffs, emergency measures, executive order by the President of the United States, day one. He even amended, as I showcased yesterday, the northern border, the issues, and in relation to these tariffs. As I've stated since day one, Canada's PNP program, Provincial Nomination Program, separate immigration run by the provinces, does not exist in the United States of America, making immigrants legal in Canada, and they're able to cross into the United States legally. However, it's illegal in the United States of America. They have no way of cross-referencing these permanent residents through the PNP program, Provincial Nomination Program, that allows these folks with a passport full provincial identification, not showing their status as a permanent resident. They can even get Nexus cards. I did a huge release of this, and you know what happened? Your premiers in groves, all 10, went to the United States, went to Washington, couldn't get any real audience, made it look big, lied to Canadians. Justin Trudeau announces right before tariffs were to hit, and they got a 30-day extension, we will have the PNP program. This should be enough for America. We're only killing half as many. We were only responsible for 1% of the fentanyl, 30 Americans a week. Hey, we've halved it, 15 dead Americans a week. From 60,000 American families affected a week to 30,000. No big deal, right? Let's sign a deal. And Trump said, okay, that's the best you did. Controlling your border, you're patrolling it, yeah, but it's still coming through. You think that the answer is half instead of zero. This showed Donald J. Trump what Canada is entirely. Every political party. Canadians, you're angry. You've shown Donald J. Trump, every American, if you didn't pay attention, you've never paid attention before, every American life is valuable. Every time there's an American captured somewhere, kidnapped, all over news, every American life is worth the same. Equality of the person. They don't roll with, well, it's lower level people. This is the drudges society. These are people in low class. Who cares? It's Canada. They're third class. They're shit. They're not the same as me and you, right, Trump? Wrong. So how does Trump respond when 8 premiers out of 10 refuse to give up their PNP programs? You watch 2 Atlantic premiers resign. They voted and said, no, we got to end the PNP programs. We're going to shut it right down. We need to have a system in place that the America needs to see it be zero. If we don't, this guy's not going to stop. And the other 8 premiers said, no way. This is lucrative. We make a tremendous amount of money. Immigration is larger than our military GDP. It's large and in charge. Trump knows that too, everybody. You've been shown day after day, week after week. Many Canadians choose not to see what all Americans are seeing. Trump didn't care about the markets, doesn't care about any of that. And he responds with, it's a trade war on drugs. We're punishing you and we're not going to stop. His representative, his secretary of state gets up there. She says, hey, everybody, Canada and Mexico didn't take human life, American life seriously, didn't take Trump's threats seriously. And you've now admitted your program was responsible for all those American deaths. You have to program. You're right. Numbers came down. Now everybody, Trudeau, who's gone this Sunday, it's going to be Carney likely this Sunday, voted in as the new prime minister, doesn't even hold a seat. Continuing on, we'll see how the budget goes. We're going to see. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the way Canada is and the way it's projecting itself on the world stage, where so many don't see it. Americans see it. Americans wholeheartedly see it. So I want to quote some things that were said today that I've told you emphatically over and over and over. Provincial nomination program. Made legal in Canada, illegal in the United States. Folks, drug trafficking easily into America, got their passport, got their provincial IDs through the provincial nomination program, look just like any other Canadian, line up in the same line, and can even skip the line when they whip out their Nexus card. Yeah, whip out their Nexus card because of their PNP program in their province. 8 of them, after the Washington shit show, and they all told you how great and wonderful they're doing, they said, no, we won't end it. We'll go half. We agree to half, Trudeau. 8 out of 10 agreed to only half. The other 2 said it had to be all the way. And when they weren't respected, because you have to have 7 out of 10 premiers to concur to make something happen with the Prime Minister, we had actually 8 that wanted to keep the program going. So everybody, mark my words, I don't know what's going to be rolled out tomorrow. I don't, but I have a very, very good idea that either A, the provincial nomination program's been ended, or that all provinces have voted the premiers. And this is another tell. I want to be clear about how I say this. This is huge, and you're going to see it tomorrow if we see some kind of deal, but it's not going to end it. I promise you that. And there were some key statements that back up everything I've been saying to you. The half PNP program that they voted for, the 2 premiers quit because they wanted 0. They said, you got to make it 0. Those 2 premiers, those Atlantic Canadians, understood. Because one thing about Atlantic Canada, especially Newfoundland that they hold, but I believe that to be all of Atlantic Canada. I do work and know a lot of Atlantic Canadians. They're tight-knit, they care, they truly care about each other, they even care about those they work with. It's different than a lot of other Canadian provinces. And at least 2 of those recognize that you're setting us up to admitting that we had a role through our immigration program in murdering Americans, a known role, which Secretary of State rolled out today with Trump's announcement that we'll find a middle ground. Middle, meaning half the PNP program. And I think what's happened, it happened today while they were in talks with the Trump administration all day. Absolute representative all day long as he jokes. And we think Donald J. Trump might meet them halfway. Just like the premiers voted to half the program. Middle, right? Is this good enough? Only half the dead Americans? So I think what's happened, what we're going to find out tomorrow in more serious reality, or maybe we might be waiting some time after Trudeau's gone and Carney's in. Carney defended Donald J. Trump and says, no, it's not going to be like that. We have an election on Sunday. Don't listen to the comments of Justin Trudeau. Well, we want to know what the premiers have now agreed to. I bet you it's zero PNP program, or they've brought up something that should have been done a very long time ago, admitting they knew what was happening to America, that they should have taken provincial IDs. And for anyone who's not a Canadian, who's through the PNP program, if you apply for registration in the province for, like at a registries for a license or a government issue ID, you should get a different color of ID, just like they do in the United States. One size fits all. Big bright green ID that says permanent residence in capital letters. Says that. It's not hard for any Canadian border security. Oh, you're a permanent resident. You're not an American. Americans have been doing this forever and a day to their border partner, Canada. Yeah, you know who's an American and who isn't. No issues. But Canada's been going, no problem, we're your best buddy. Don't you worry about America. Oh, by the way, we got all these financial institutions, all this money laundering. Your DEA, FBI, Homeland Security have put it all together, busting all our institutions and all these drug mule runners and backpack cash counts created even all over the United States from crossing from Canada into USA rather legally by Canada's side through the PNP program where they backdoored, didn't even have a job to get into Canada. Oh, I'm a chemist, or I'm a distribution expert. Here's my credentials from all of these third worlds. And Canada says, yeah, especially India, opium, India Central, where they pick 90% of those chosen immigrants from. Is it racism or is it opium? Oh, and then there's China from preferred opium, Central China. Oh, and 90% of those get the preferred too, plus absolute access to the PNP program at a 90 percentile, all provinces. They're getting these IDs. So either we're going to find out tomorrow that the premiers who didn't want to end the PNP program, who are 100% for it, as is all federal politicians for many decades, either they've come up with a deal through the registries in every province and they voted these premiers and they've guaranteed it to Donald J. Trump, who's going to see and meet them halfway, like they tried to meet them. And they even say punish them for these years, meaning maybe half the tariffs, like maybe not 25%. I'm just throwing it out there. 12.5%, maybe 5% energy tariffs for the next 2 years. And a month from now, reciprocal tariffs, which are on his social media after the fact. He smacks Trudeau with reciprocal tariffs, federally and provincially, just like the PNP program that they figured out that, oh, you run a double whammy on us. You treated us like idiots, like assholes. We trusted you, blindly trusted you. Secretary of State, you need to be punished for that. You've been running it for years. Looks like we need to run some tariffs for years. Trump's saying, I may meet you tomorrow halfway. Maybe the premiers have voted to end the PNP program, or maybe they're launching permanent residence cards at all registries. We're going to find out. I don't know how much digging we're going to have to do to figure that out. That's a tough one. But something will be released by the American side. We're going to see that with Trump tomorrow in any announcements. But I want everybody to remember, these are going to last. These are going to last years, even if they have them. And then at the end of the month in April, reciprocity tariffs, which he launched after the fact of discussing that with the federal government. So even if we get half tariffs because we did half measures on American lives, people don't understand what's happened here. All your premiers, not all, that's wrong. I'm sorry, I gotta slow down. 8 of your premiers have admitted to murdering Americans knowingly and participating in that system of immigration. that can be argued for financial success of drug dealing and money laundering, according to DEA, FBI, and Homeland Security. This is how stupid most, if not all, your politicians are. Now, the other two premiers were caught in it, and they knew, at least they had enough common sense as Atlantic Canadians to say, you know what, the answer right here is zero. We need to respond with zero. We're voting no, it has to be zero. The others didn't want to listen. So it's a matter of whether it's ID or they've ended the program altogether. I guess we'll see in the next 24 hours what did they guarantee Donald J. Trump. And it's probably the ID program, because they sure love their cheap labor here in Canada. They love to drive wages down and inflation up. That's the Canadian way, way past America. So even drugs aside, they want to keep their housing bubble large. They want to hold Canadians in destitution. They love that. And folks, the matter is, what will we see of that? Donald J. Trump's going to roll a middle ground like they did. And they've now highlighted that at least 8 premiers and all federal politicians, every single one, we have Pierre Poilievre, all on video on this, and Trump, never once acknowledging that truth that he's instrumental in, was through Harper. They even told you today on the American side, Secretary of State, many decades, our friend, they need to be punished for that. Pierre Poilievre, Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet, he slams Trump too. Yves Blanchette, he slams Trump. Elizabeth May, she slams Trump. Maxime Bernier, I don't know, but he's not in office, so who cares? But you've got all of your federal parties and 8 out of 10 premiers, Conservative, NDP, Liberal, all covered. All the covers of the spectrum, left to right, didn't matter, because they're up here in autocracy. Donald J. Trump has had you all in an emergency situation out yourselves, the politicians in Canada, in an almost near absolute majority. When you look at effectual voting of those 2 Atlantic provinces, we don't even make 1/20th of the population out of that. That means 80 percentile are in that way of thinking. That's what it says to Americans. And you know what polls showed? 88% of Canadians feel negatively about America. And it's the opposite of America over Canadians. You don't think they don't see that poll too? They're figuring it out. And they're getting Canadian politicians specifically, to out themselves. They just outed themselves on how they value life, how they value the average American, let alone, what does that tell all of you Canadians? I know most Canadians are like, oh, geez, I don't know what you're talking about, right? But Americans know. Canada's busted, never to be viewed again the same way, and we will be punished, possibly for years. A trade deal? I don't think so. This is ignorance of media. It's ignorance of Canadian mentality and understanding. There's the beautifulest thing I learned about constitutionalism. I learned this quite a few years ago in my journey, and I do have to give this to Dr. Richard Albert, a very good friend of mine, a mentor. And the one thing I took from him that stands out, that's had such an effect on me in my studies and in my growth, was constitutionalism, the constitution of any nation you explore, or sub-state, or region, not in provinces, but that's the soul of the people, the Constitution, highest laws. Inside it, when you read that, you pull the soul, the being of the people. That's the soul of the nation, or the state, or region, the soul. Canada's Constitution, you pull the soul. And they did. And they just showed you in a real, credible analysis. They watched them go around in circles. In 30 days' time, they outed themselves as how they really feel about life, how they really feel about people. And it really is first, second, third class, savage class, aka the Titanic. And the 3 stages close this hatch. Captain doesn't go down with the ship. The boiler workers go down. Then it's the 3rd class because they're garbage. And half the second, this is the value of life in a perfect pyramid scheme. Pure socialist, pure fascist, signed equity of the person. Everything America isn't. And you can love or hate Trump, but if anything, respect that current sitting president as a completely genius man who just showcased the greatest example of a psyop on the Canadian politicians, never mind Canadians, showcasing their behavioral norms that Americans recognize now. Polls showing, the action showing, the response, the devaluation of life, how it didn't matter. Oh, we make a deal, it's only half as many. This is way better. We get everything back, right? We're going to be punished for years. Hear the words. They need to be punished for years so they never forget. Learn. Have some accountability. So obviously, they know, Canadian politicians, alone Canadians, there's no accountability in our system. They have highlighted what's putrid about Canada's politicians, what's putrid about our system at its core, at its very soul. It's written that way in Canada's constitutional acts. If you don't see the power and might and intelligence of this presidency and what he's capable of doing, I don't know what to tell you. We're going to see tomorrow, but we are nowhere near out of any hot water or this is great news. Here's your hero cookie. With half those rates and reciprocal tariffs, that will still put us in April well over, it works out to I think about 37%, and energy up at like 18%, about 18%. That is scary. That's complete destruction. There's no victories here. Trump has showcased what Canadians really are to all Americans. He has done that. He's done that through his social media, all social media. And whether media wants to report this or not, he has done that. And you're going to see tomorrow, these tariffs aren't ending. He's going to spank Canadians. He's already spanking Trudeau in all political parties. He's got Pierre Poilievre's pants down. He's got Elizabeth May's pants down. He's got Yves Blanchet's pants down. He's got Jagmeet Singh's pants down. And he's even pulled Trudeau's pants down. Now they're seeing, what is Carney going to do next? What's the carnival show Carney? Is he any different as a sycophant Canadian, a psychotic, institutionalized socialist and fascist who believes he's superior too? We're going to see. But they've got you, Canada. They've got you dead to rights, and they've showcased that for the whole world to see. I can tell you, Mexico's looking at it like this. Again, what was the right answer? They told you. The right answer was not Mexico killed more than us. It was that you're even killing Americans and valuing their life that low as supposedly USA's trusted best friend. Wrong answer. And how Canadians who go to church, synagogue, or mosque every week of their life, how could you not see it any other way? How can you sit in a room listening to readings and praying and going through scriptures? How could you see it any other way than that? How could you even ignore that? It's just been shown to the whole world today. Tomorrow's huge. It's going to be epic. I can't wait. I want to see the results of the PNP program. I want to hear all those dirty announcements. what's been cancelled out. And remember, it's an acknowledgement that you were complicit, you legislated, you ran, you absolutely knew, because you knew how to fix it. When push came to shove, you could immediately fix it. And they're saying, see everybody? They were killing us purposefully with zero value of our life. The drug money, the laundering, the growth in financial to corrupt America, to kill America, is really at the heart of who they are. You can't trust these people. You can't trust Canada. That's what's happened here. I hope people see this. I hope this video gets shared out. It's credible, real, verifiable. Anyone who's been following me since December 2nd, I've gone into this in tremendous detail over and over and over again. Let's see what the deal was. Let's see what the PNP program is, or let's see what provinces gave up in their registries, what they're going to do with permanent residents. That's the key to all of this. God bless everybody. That's my video. Epic. Share, share, share. Huge. Tomorrow's a huge day. Hang on to your seats.